So charging things. We all do it, and I think people are mostly divided in two camps. There's the people that simply use the charger that came with their phone, since every time they buy a new phone, they get a new charger. I guess that used to happen. Good times. And then there's everybody else that for one reason or another tries to improve their charging situation, either by buying longer cables, or a secondary fast charging brick, or a brick with more ports, or a convenient wireless charging pad. And since around 2017, I switched camps, mostly because I wanted to find a way to charge my phone in a less visually intrusive way. It was around that time that I started to build this setup with the monitors and the computer on the side, so I wanted to find a way to charge my phone without adding any extra wires and extra clutter to the tabletop. But I've always found wireless chargers expensive, and at the time they were very expensive. So I got the brilliant idea to go on AliExpress, and I bought these guys. They were mini wireless charging pads. They were plastic, they feel cheap, they're small, they're not great, but they've been doing the trick since then, mostly. Now, full disclosure, of course they did not pay me for this video. I mean, we're such a small channel still that much should be obvious. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, so maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. But they did send me this Otto Q to test and share what I think about it. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the past couple of months, and the guys at Moshi are watching this video for the first time right along with you. But let's start with the design of the pad, and since you plan on adding it to your desk, you are inevitably going to be seeing it a lot, and in my opinion, it fits everywhere. If you plan to add it to your white desk, it looks pretty great, and if you're going to use it on top of something more wood brown, it also blends pretty well. I think this is mostly because it's a pretty neutral gray, and the cloth material at the top is a nice change of pace from most other pads that are either plastic or rubber. It does a pretty good job at feeling premium, and I had to disassemble it to figure out that it isn't all made of metal. It feels quite heavy and solid, but it turns out they have a thick, maybe with triple C's, metal piece at the bottom with the thickest thermal pad I've ever seen, making contact with the board to improve cooling without using the fan. It's a pretty clever solution to the entire heat problem that you always have to deal with when it comes to wireless charging pads, and in this case it works very well. Before, I was used to picking up my phone from one of those cheap pads and the phone was warm, sometimes even hot, and now it's always cool to the touch, just like it wasn't charging at all. Another thing that always annoyed me with most wireless charging pads were the bright and colorful LEDs and the logos that most of them have in the most obnoxious places possible. In this case, the white LED is very unobtrusive even at night, and is there not only to let you know when something is charging, but it also blinks if it detects something on the pad that isn't charging. If you place something that is not wirelessly chargeable at all, it will blink, but it will also blink if you place something on a weird angle or position. Speaking of position, it's pretty much just a set it and forget it type of deal for most phones, even if you have a very thick case. They say it works with cases up to 5mm, but since I don't use a case at all I can say is that it still charges through 3 white balancing cards, 1 microfiber cloth folded in 4, and 2 smaller microfiber cloths unfolded. I'm not really sure who would try to charge their phone through this much random stuff, but I tried. And it worked. When it came to my AirPods Pro case, it was definitely a little bit more particular with the placement, and I only found one place where I could reliably drop the case and it will always charge. I simply place it on top of the logo and just forget about it, but for a second there I considered that it simply was not going to work. So if you're trying to charge a smaller device, just keep that in mind. The rubber ring on top of the pad is a big improvement from my previous pads, since it grips the back of the phone pretty well without taking away from the clean gray fabric look. It comes in the box with a USB-C to C gray cable that works great for my setup, where I have it plugged into the USB-C port on the back of my desktop, but I think most people would have preferred a USB-C to USB-A cable for the extra flexibility. And then we have the charging speed. It says that it charges up to 15 watts, but it definitely has some caveats to that. For most new iPhones, you can charge at up to 7.5 watts because Apple, and most recent Android phones can reach between 10 and 15 watts depending on the charging brick that you use. But look, if you want very fast charging, use a cable. It will always work faster and waste less energy due to inefficiencies, and those inefficiencies will, at best, cost you a few extra euros in power every year, and at worst, eat away at your battery health, leading to very fast degradation. With my setup, I usually just sit on my desk at around 8 in the morning, and if for whatever reason I'm low on battery then, I simply just put the phone charging, and by the time I'm ready to go for lunch at around 12, I'm already at full charge. And I much prefer having the phone resting on the charging pad instead of just laying on the desk, since I don't have a case and I'm one of those people. The final and arguably more important point is the price. The pad is 50 euros. And for that amount of money, you get a premium feeling pad with reliable and low temperature charging, but also a 10-year warranty. That's a long time for something to go wrong with any piece of tech, and it's a pretty good peace of mind to know that they got your back. Is it expensive? Sure, it's more than double what you pay for similarly performing pads on Amazon, but if you ask me, it's something that you're buying once and keeping for a very long time, so the 10-year warranty is a pretty good bonus, but in my opinion, paying that little bit extra upfront to get something that looks better in your setup, in my opinion, is pretty worth it. But yeah, but you're here, but it's absolutely nothing to do with charging pads, Moshi, or whatever the hell I'm talking about. You're just here for some feline action, and I will surely share it with you. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, do those things on there, and yeah, bye.